Neighbor from Sheets to Wawa and everywhere in between. So, thank you. To Kimberly, can we all agree? Yes. This generation of kids that's coming, just let them lead and we'll be fine. And you guys back here know you're on TV all the time, right? Great. Big thank you. Got a chance to meet the mayor of this great community. Thank you, Mayor Reynolds. And I'll tell you what else we have to do. To all the things we're going to talk about building a fair, a way forward, an opportunity economy, President Harris is going to need to have the House of Representatives. Send Congresswoman Wild back to the House of Representatives. Somebody said, well, what's it been like the last 6 weeks? Pretty strange, pretty strange. Not weird, just pretty strange. But if it weren't enough to be Vice President Kamala Harris's running mate, if that weren't enough, I'm here with Anthony and Liza today. No old white guy could ask for more. Trust me. Yeah. I also, so all of you know, I'm always out there, spotting talent and stuff. Can we all agree there's a second career for Liza and Anthony here at some point? And, they're great at what they do, but that type of passion, that type of vision, incredible. So all of you, Minnesota and Pennsylvania do have a lot in common. But I am quick to point out Super Bowl rings are not one of them. So, hey, Vikings are 2-0. Give me this moment. Give me this moment. But look, these two states do share a lot of history. It's the history about building this country. American steelworkers have long been a path to our economic strength and our arsenal of democracy. Steelworkers have always had America's back. Vice President Harris and I will have their back. Here's the connections. Here's the connections, people. I'm a geography teacher for 20 years. By the way, thank you to the folks at Freedom High School for having us right here. Northern Minnesota has some of the richest iron mine deposits in the world. That iron from the Northern Minnesota Iron Range fueled the steel mills here right in the Lehigh Valley. Together, it was our people that built the tanks that won World War II and freed the world from Nazi oppression. I don't know if you noticed that Nazi tyranny. We got folks running as Republicans for governor that are proud to refer themselves as Nazis. Let's not pretend that there's a gradual difference between the folks that are running here, that they're running together. Across this country, we forged the bridges, we built the highways, we built the skyscrapers, and we are still USA, 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 and we are ready. And we are ready to continue to build the future together. Another proud part of our two states' heritage is we have a long history of being home to Puerto Rican and Latino families who chose to start their lives in our state. They grew our economy. every single day. Their presence in our states, in our country, make us stronger and better. And during this Hispanic Heritage Month, Vice President and I are celebrating the collective contributions of Puerto Ricans and the entire Latino community. And for so many of their families, we recognize a painful anniversary of the landfall of Hurricane Maria, which continues to have a devastating impact. In March, Vice President Harris visited San Juan. She pledged to continue supporting the reconstruction. And when she and I are in the White House, you can count on our support. Now, to all of you, it is a beautiful fall day in eastern Pennsylvania. You could have been anywhere. You've got kids at soccer practice. You're ready for football. You're doing things at home, and it's a day off. But not this crew. Nope. You chose to come here. And the reason is simple. You love this country. That's why you came. Kamala Harris understands that. She understands what it means to serve. From her first day as a prosecutor, a district attorney, and then Attorney General of the state of California, and Vice President of the United States. She has had one thing on her mind. She serves the people. She serves the people. Her job is to serve and protect those people, whether it was taking on predators and fraudsters trying to cheat people, or there was taking on transnational gangs and greedy corporate interests. She was there and never hesitated to work with anybody across the aisle to get things done for the American people. Yes! And you can see it in her leadership. You can see it in her leadership. She talks often about this, and I love it when she says it. A mark of leadership is not who you can push down, it's who you can lift up. Yes. And of all of the hard things she's done and the difficult decision for people, she's done what you all know and what you can feel in this room. Hard work can be good work. Democracy is as you heard Anthony say, is a precious privilege and gift that we need to protect. Yes. You can do it with joy, optimism, grace, and happiness. Yes. I'm proud to be a part of this fight with her. I am proud. She oftentimes talks about it. Look, Tim and I grew up geographically a long ways apart, from Oakland, California, to small towns in rural Nebraska. I grew up in a town, now this is, when you come from a small town, you heard John Mellencamp's music playing, you out small town people. I had 24 kids in my graduating class. 12 were cousins. But what you learn is your community is your family. You take care of one another. You look out for them. You lift them up. Kamala Harris says that. We didn't grow up in the same place, but we grew up around the same people. People who worked hard for a living, people who understand how to pay their bills and wanted to see their children get ahead. Understood, as Anthony always talks about, the power of a teacher in public education to make it. Servant leadership for the common good. Those are the things that animated me, and those are the things that animate Kamala Harris. Now look, you have to talk a little bit about contrast. You have to talk about contrast. Not everyone. Not everyone is going to see the world the same way. But there's a set of core values that we share. things that animate our service, things that lift us up together. Now I want to tell you something. You know politics. We've been in politics. We know that there's no expectation that there will be 100% agreement on things, but there's shared values. And the one thing I will tell you, a remarkable thing happened. It's pretty obvious to us that Donald Trump and J.D. Vance do not share our values in any way. They do not share our values. Look, it's not even about policies. It's about sharing our values. Last week, Senator from the state of Ohio did something really surprising. He told an absolute truth in this. That shouldn't be a low bar. He told the truth. He admitted to creating stories about people that live in his state. To spread fear and drum up hatred to people in his community. His Republican governor had to write an op-ed saying none of those things are true about our community. But he says if he can't say these things, it's censorship. Well, let's understand what he's talking about here. Censorship is when they want to ban books, by the way. That's censorship. What he did had consequences. And those consequences was that same Republican governor had to send state law enforcement to escort kindergartners into their school to learn. So let's just be clear, starting at that point. We can think about and extrapolate from that. They're probably not telling the truth about a lot of things if they're not telling the truth about that. Now, there's always motive. I guess if you're going to be generous, you could say, well, I can't blame them. I can't blame them that they're not telling the truth. They're not telling the truth.
USA! 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 USA!
Let's not forget, folks, and I said if you're being generous, it is going, elections have consequences. And let's not forget in this, we've got a little over 6 weeks to go, and it is a binary choice. It is Donald Trump or Kamala Harris. So in talking about what we want to get and being the big tent we are, we're generous people in here. I said I can almost see where you would say, well, I can kind of see why Donald Trump's not telling the truth. Because if he tells the truth, he doesn't get a damn vote. This is all about what do you do to get a vote, not what's good for America, not what's good for our security, what's not basic human decency. They know if they tell the truth, they don't get votes. So they spread the lies. So here's the deal. You saw it at the debate, which, can we keep talking a little bit about that debate? I do want to say something about the debate, which people saw. There were people, and look, some people aren't paying a lot of attention to things yet. I know it's hard to believe you're engaged in politics, but a lot of people were there. And I heard some people, and they meant it as a compliment, but listen to how they say this and the work we have to do. They said, my God, Kamala Harris, she just did fabulous. She knew the issues, and she was wonderful, and she laid things out, except she says this. They say this to me. Oh, I'm so surprised she did that. I'm like, oh. Why would you be surprised? Why would you be surprised that this incredibly talented, effective, compassionate leader would be compassionate leader? But what you all know is it's what people don't say, and it's what Donald Trump never says. His vocabulary, while not hugely wide, There is one word he's very good at.
Money.
Yes, someone smaller. I saw that. I see you there. The one word he knows well is I.
Yep.
Me.
Yep.
That's about as far as it goes. I, me, what's good in it for me. He didn't say anything about how he was going to make life better for the American public. He didn't say anything about how it was going to impact your family. He didn't even say anything how it was going to impact his supporters' families, because of course, we're here to make sure the policies we advocate for are good for their families. Donald Trump. Donald Trump yesterday called us the enemy. I would never call him the enemy. He's an 80-year-old man who's wrong, who has not the interest in this. We want to win this election, as I oftentimes say, is you don't win elections to find yourself in another election. You win an election to improve people's lives. So, again, folks, binary choice. Binary choice. Donald Trump or Kamala Harris. That's what we've got, folks. And you saw on the stage, Donald Trump, after 9 years, also did something that surprised me. He at least said he had a concept of a plan for health care. So, I taught school for a couple decades, and that was... If I would have gotten that excuse, I would have said, go back to the drawing board. That's not going to work. That's not going to work. But look, their concept of the plan is to get rid of the Affordable Care Act. The very thing, think about it, the very thing that protects us from insurance companies denying our care for a pre-existing condition. The very thing that ensures your children can stay on your health care until they're 26. If you don't think that matters, if you don't think that it matters, in Minnesota we passed a bill called the Alex Smith Insulin Act. And the reason it's called the Alex Smith Insulin Act is his mom had to come to the Capitol after her son got off their insurance at 26 and then needed to ration his insulin. Alex Smith died because he couldn't get something that cost drug manufacturers less than $5 to manufacture, and he was being asked to pay $600 for it. The Affordable Care Acts protect us, and Kamala Harris is making sure that every single person in every single state has access to insulin and the drugs they need. I saw Senator Vance lay out the concept of the plan like this has never been tried before. Well, it doesn't make sense that young and healthy people have to have insurance and pay for it because they're not sick. We should just have pools for sick people. Do they know how insurance works? You pool the risk together so that all of us can get it, so when we need it, our neighbors are there. Just be clear. I know it's a bit of preaching to the choir, and I'm going to get to the part where all the things that we run for, but it's important to know they don't have a plan for you. There is no plan for you. And I can't stress this enough. This is not a theoretical idea of what's happening here. It's very clear. You lived under it in Pennsylvania. Donald Trump wants to talk about some mythical time when he was in office, for God's sakes. You felt it here. He lost 275,000 jobs in Pennsylvania. Under Vice President Harris, 560,000 jobs have come back, including 29,000 manufacturing. People are reinvesting in this great state. You saw $500 million by Pratt Industries helping 2 facilities right here in the Lehigh Valley get started. Great job. And I served in Congress before I was governor and Donald Trump was president. So I've served when I was in Congress when he was president, and I've served as governor. So I can tell you what failure looks like. I watched him do it. I watched him do it. Every week and I was in Congress, he was going to give us infrastructure.
Yep.
Infrastructure week. Well, it never happened. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris gave us the infrastructure law. Provided millions of dollars to that airport I just landed at right out there that they're able to invest in. So look, she's laying out a plan what an opportunity economy looks like. We know how this works. Our economy works best when it's fair. We have a saying in Minnesota, we all do better when we all do better. She gets it. She gets it. When the economy is fair and it's not rigged, it not only works better for all of us, it actually works better for the guys who are trying to rig it, for God's sakes. So here's the deal. She knows what these things are, the fundamental things that people want. And we know that it's hard and the economy's there, so she's working for real solutions. Things like home ownership, making sure home ownership is affordable, making sure we're building 3 million more affordable homes, but also helping with down payment assistance and tax credits to make sure that happens. We did it in Minnesota, and we're seeing more homes, and rents actually went down 4%. Where is rent going down? It goes down when you're able to create more housing. That's what ends up happening. Also saw that many of you know it's expensive when you have children. It's expensive. Don't we know it? And for some of you who have little children, it doesn't get much less expensive as they get older. But here's the deal. Kamala Harris is going to make it less expensive. She is doing what we've seen when states do it, and we saw it during COVID pandemic. She has a child tax credit that's going to put $6,000 into the hands of parents that first year. Buy a crib. Think of it. Americans aren't asking for that much. They're asking to be left alone. They're asking to be able to make a decision. They're allowing to ask for
USA! USA! USA!
if they can get a car seat.
USA! USA! USA!
Passing a child tax credit, by passing a child tax credit, you reduce childhood poverty by a third. And you just saw it this week. If you're getting squeezed on prices on things like groceries, we're talking about taking on price gouging. Let me tell you what that looks like. The folks who grow our food, farmers, corn is about $4.10 a bushel. It takes about $5 just to break even. Farmers aren't getting rich off what's happening right now. The folks who are trying to make the products that we have aren't, but corporate profits have doubled and corporate pay has quadrupled in many cases. Now look, we're all for a fair economy. We're all for people making it, but you can't rig the economy making things more expensive for the very people who are making and growing those products. That's what you're making. And just this week, the Biden-Harris administration is taking on Big Pharma because they're still trying to drive up the price of insulin and overcharge because we don't have a national $35 cap on that. Kamala Harris will make it happen. Absolutely. And look, we've been able to do a lot of this in Minnesota because what happens when you elect people who care about the middle class, when you elect people who look like the people who are voting, you get policies that help those very people, whether it's on home ownership, whether it's on insulin, whether it's on a child tax credit, or one of the things that we did, and I experienced this personally. When I was growing up, my father got cancer, and I watched my mom, who's a stay-at-home mom, barely be able to stay in her home because of the medical bills that nearly destroyed her. She had to go back and work just to pay down medical bills for about a decade. Kamala Harris is putting in what we did in Minnesota, providing relief from that so they can't report you to the credit union, they can't charge you outrageous credit, and they can't bankrupt you. And for so many of you, You want to start your own business? She's going to make sure, and we saw the proposal on this, a 10 times larger tax credit and cutting red tape so you start the business and you go on your own and make the way you want to for the American people. And look, in a place like this, and we saw it, we got an opportunity to pass something called the PRO Act and sign it into law. Now, the folks who are hollering out here are the folks who understand the purest and the most strongest, and the thing that built the middle class was the ability to collectively bargain and form a union with your neighbors. I've been told that I am, for decades, a card-carrying union member of our state's teachers union, which I love. The last union member on a national ticket, Ronald Reagan. I promise you I will not lose my way. I will not lose my way. You know what's interesting too? I was also told that I may, teacher, working and serving as governor, that I may be the poorest person who's ever run on a national ticket. And then the Wall Street Journal wrote a story and said, well, that doesn't tell the whole story. He has more money than you think he does. No, you think this is a bombshell, like a North Carolina thing or something. I don't know. Like a bombshell. I'm like, what is the bombshell? Is he hiding assets offshore? Or what, does he have a trust fund? Oh no, he has a defined benefit pension plan. Our wish, Vice President Harris, and my wish is that every American had a defined benefit pension plan. Because at the heart of this is about freedom to live the life you want to live with dignity, whether it's being in retirement, starting your own businesses, and to choose the life you want to live, not the government. Now, I see some of you, I see some of the older folks here can actually remember, and it's like telling the young people, there was a time when Republicans talked about freedom, they actually meant it. In the long ago time, it feels like. Because right now, when they talk about freedom, the freedom of government to be able to invade your bedroom, the freedom of government to invade your exam room, the freedom of government to invade your school libraries and take it. Look, they spend a lot of damn time trying to ban books. We spend our time in Minnesota banning hunger by giving free meals to our asking us, and you hear it, I'm not asking us all to think the same. I'm not asking for an expectation that we all agree. My God, a successful marriage is 51-49, and we're all good. We're close, we're good, we're on the winning side. We know how that works, and we respect other people's decisions. That's part of being American. We respect those decisions. Now, we might not make those same decisions. We might say, I don't know, I'm not going with that. But I keep saying, and I know it's here, and you know it's an absolute truth. The golden rule that makes society and communities function and families function is, mind your own damn business. Right? You don't need me. You don't need me. You certainly don't need Donald Trump and J.D. Vance. Not just opining about what type of family you should have, but actually trying to legislate what type of family you should have. So there's people out there, and you've seen them. You know the names now. No one should know who Hadley is, and no one should know who Amanda is. But those brave women have put themselves out there because they went through what Donald Trump is trying to do to all the rest of us, trying to be involved in our reproductive decisions. And for my wife and I, it's nobody's damn business about our family, but we've talked about it. We've talked about it. And the reason we're talking about it is because it's so important. We tell the story, my wife and I, and this should be private and personal, but they make it everybody's damn business that we weren't able to have children and we're dealing with infertility. So we were lucky enough, because I had a union that got me health insurance. We were able to have access to those fertility treatments, and some of you heard me say this. And when that daughter was finally born, we named her Hope, because it's the most powerful. Her and her brother Gus are our whole world. That is our decision and the things we had to go through. Make no mistake, they're not stopping at abortion access. They don't care about the story of another Amanda who had to travel from Georgia to North Carolina, and then because couldn't get the treatment at home, ended up dying. These are young mothers. These are people wanting families. Whether they want a family or not, it's none of their damn business. But they keep talking about how pro-family they are. You know what? Spend a little less time trying to ban books in our schools and try and ban assault weapons in our schools.
Yes!
So this is about people's personal freedoms. It's not about the government making these decisions. When Vice President Harris talks about it, we mean you, not us. I often hear this too. You do not need your elected officials to give you a sermon. But you should damn well expect us to try and live one. That's not so hard. Try and have your words match up. Try and do the best you can. So when we mean education too, we mean a ticket to the middle class, not crippling debt for our young people. That's not a giveaway or a handout. That's an investment in all of our future. And of all the things out there, they want to talk about government spending. They should, because Donald Trump added more to the national debt than any other president ever, so that's just factual. But you know how they get in there. I always tell this one. They say government doesn't work, then they get elected and prove it. They do. That's what they do. Because they know when they give tax cuts to the wealthy, then they can go after things that other people really care about, like Social Security and Medicare. Then they can try and claim that the national debt is the fault of Social Security and Medicare. And I get it. They don't give a damn about Social Security and Medicare. Why would they? If you have $1 billion, you don't worry about Social Security and Medicare.
Thank you.
We do. My mom does. My 89-year-old mom does, because that's how she pays for her living expenses. It's pretty damn important. And oh, by the way, my dad and her worked their whole lives to get that, and I'll be damned that if we give a tax cut to billionaires.
That's true.
And I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back to this thing, because being in a school, and I was just in Georgia last week, brand new school year, excitement, kids going to school, dressing them up in their best, send them off with a sense of pride. Those of you with young, if some of you in here had sent you to the first day of school, that is a core memory that you are so blessed to be in that moment right now. And all of us are thinking back to sending our little ones out the door to school and all that with such happiness. But now we have to deal with this idea, not just sending them off to school to learn, we have to worry that they're going to be shot dead in their classroom. And I want to be clear about this, so that, because you know what the retort is on this. Because by the way, I'm a veteran and a hunter. I'm a gun owner. And we found out in the debate, so is the vice president. There you go. Because this is not about the Second Amendment, or if they want to make it about the Second Amendment. Nobody's trying to take your guns. What we're going back to our first responsibility is to keep our children safe. That's the priority. I struggle with some of this. I struggle with this idea that after one of these mass shootings, Donald Trump said, people just need to know how to get over it. And my opponent said, well, it's just a fact of life. Where do you have to be in your life that that's the first stuff that comes out of your mouth?
Scum.
After this. Or the quickly as we know, and I know many people mean well by it, issuing thoughts and prayers. How about action and results? How about that? Just be clear. We believe in the American people. We believe there's nothing we can't accomplish together. Donald Trump and J.D. Vance, we just can't figure it out. Well, then how the hell did every other country figure it out in the world?
That's true.
How did they all figure it out? Because I don't believe they love their children any more than us. I believe they love their children just like us. But they have figured out ways to strike a reasonable balance. Things like we did in Minnesota to have enhanced background checks and red flag laws to get guns out of there. And I've still got my guns to go shoot pheasants in a couple weeks. We still have the opportunity. So we need some water. We need some water. Can we get a check on him? We get someone that, Vin, you got it? Thank you. We've got someone there. We'll make sure, we okay? Getting help? Well, that's what Pennsylvanians do. They help their neighbors. That's what it's about. It's hot. It's hot. Get some water. Okay, we'll get some water. It is hot. So thank you all. And again, I'll go back to this. I appreciate you being here. Make sure you're drinking water. Take care of the people next to you. That gave me good advice. Speed up. So there we go. I'll bring her home here quick, folks. Look, Kamala Harris made it clear. These guys want to instill fear. They want to tell you that just get over it. It's a fact of life. This is the way it is. She simply has said it doesn't have to be this way. It doesn't have to be this way. We can't afford 4 more years of this, and I've been saying it. This Project 2025, isn't it funny to watch these guys? Oh, never heard of it in my life. Didn't even saw it, never knew, never did whatever. I've been saying this. As 900 pages of it, I said as a football coach, when you take the time to draw up a playbook, you're going to use it. Yeah. They drew up the playbook. They know. But I want to tell you something. It's what and how they think about this. My opponent, Senator Vance, had a quote that you read it, you hear it, you gloss over it. But think about how deeply disturbing this is. He said that when they get power, and they will use the Project 2025, they need to be ruthless when it comes to the exercise of power. Who says ruthless in the exercise of power who's running for a democratically elected position? This is not about power, this is about public service. This is not about power, it's about governing. So when they mean ruthless, ruthless means tax cuts for billionaires once again that drove up our national debt. Now here's what's something really interesting. I saw when the announcement came that the work that's done by Joe Biden and Kamala Harris to start taming inflation, to start finally seeing gas prices come down, to start for this week a reduction in, oh, thank you guys. We saw Senator Vance lead an audience when he said, well, they reduced interest rates this week. How terrible is that? And he got the crowd booing. Who boos for lower interest rates? Venture capitalists, apparently. Because people who want to pay a mortgage or want to get student loan, whatever it might be, care about that. So look, we get it. You know what's out there, and I get it. You come here, we're rallied up, we get it. I understand very clearly we're preaching to the choir, but I'll go back before I end this to remind you. When we named our daughter Hope, we did it because it was the most powerful word in the universe. But as my wife, the English teacher, the no-nonsense Midwestern Lutheran, my wife reminds us, hope is not a damn plan. We don't hope we're going to beat Donald Trump. We don't hope that we're going to tackle climate change. We don't hope that we're going to end school shootings. We create a plan to do it. And the privilege we have an opportunity to turn the page and choose a new generation of leadership, a new way forward. All right, you've been here, it's hot, preaching to the choir, but boy, the choir needs to sing louder than ever. Busy jobs, busy lives, football games to watch, all kinds of things. And I'll often tell people, I know it, and they'll tell me, look, and you heard Anthony say it, we're talking, he goes, just didn't know, I'm not really into politics. My response to that is, too damn bad politics is into you.
Yeah.
Literally. Your health care, your schools, your child's education, all freedom, all of the things you care about. So look, 45 days to the election. October 21st is the last day to register in Pennsylvania. Here's my quick pro tip. Do what Minnesota did. Same day registration, by the way. But here it is. It's all on the line. 45 days, not just for the next 4 years, but for the next 40 years.
Yes!
45 days to bring joy back to our politics.
Yes!
45 days to say we are not satisfied with putting cracks in the glass ceiling. We're pushing President Harris through the glass ceiling. So, all gas, no brakes, sleep when you're dead.
Yes!
We do it because we love this country, and as the next President of the United States says, when we fight,
We win!
we fight.